all-American half pounder, 2 pure beef patties, lettuce, tomato.
Singles going steady.
This is Singles Going Steady, the podcast dedicated to exploring great singles with a particular eye to the punk, new wave, and DIY eras of the last century. I'm Adrienne Meddock.
And I'm Steve McGowan. We're in a band, The Beef People. We released a single in 1986 on our own label, Zub Records, and we are record collectors and passionate especially about the expression of pop music perfection that is the single recording. Exploring the mystery of what makes a great single.
Makes us like a single, maybe.
Yes, that makes us love a single is what propelled us to begin this podcast. And this is episode number Singles Going Steady 112. And we've got a very unique and interesting single.
Yeah, after 112, we get to the Jim Carroll Band.
Mm-hmm. And People Who Died.
People Who Died, he knows of what he speaks.
Yes, this was from 1979 on a fairly major label on Atco Records. So let's talk a little bit about Jim Carroll. He is Irish descent.
Irish Catholic boy.
Yes, and his first record is actually called Catholic Boy. Lived in New York, kind of came up on the whole art scene, very similar to Patti Smith, who was a mentor to him.
So, the story goes that he was a poor kid, got scholarships based on his basketball abilities.
He had game, yes.
Yeah, he had game, and unfortunately, he also had a habit.
Yeah, this is a real life kind of a sad story,
Yeah.
Well, not kind of, definitely a sad story. He had a pretty serious heroin addiction, and as a youngster, he was basically, turning tricks to pay for his addiction. Not something you want to do when you're in your teens, not something you ever want to do. But he was living a hard life. And
he details much of this in the Basketball Diaries,
right.
Made into a film of mixed success, starring Leonardo DiCaprio.
Right.
But, this was a guy who lived life.
But he also was an extremely good writer. I mean, his stuff was in Paris Review. It was his poetry. He was able to write about the life and what was going on with him. A true artist, and he rubbed elbows with Ginsberg, and he worked for Andy Warhol. He was in with all the, Mapplethorpe and all those people, all the arty people in New York.
And Patti Smith.
Yes, of course.
And Patti encouraged him, as she had harnessed her writing into lyrics in a band. Why don't you, see what you can do by pairing your lyrics with music? And that's what we get here with the Jim Carroll Band.
Yes, he went to California to clean up. And he found some guys there that wanted to start a band, and they started a band, and he was the lyricist and the songwriter. And they made the record Catholic Boy, which is an astounding record. And this is the single from it. It's called People Who Died. It's pretty easy to figure out what it's about. And we're going to play it now. From 1979 on Atco Records, the Jim Carroll Band. All the people that died.
Jettisoned the glue, he was 12 years old. Fell from the roof on East 29. Kathy was 11 when she pulled the plug. 26 reds and a bottle of wine. Bobby got leukemia, 14 years old. He looked like 55 when he died. He was a friend of mine. Those are people who died. Those are people who died. Those are people who died. up in Manhattan. Sly in Vietnam, bullet in the head. Bobby OD'd on Drano on the night that he was wed. They were two more friends of mine, two more friends that died. Those are people who died, died. Those are people who died, died. Those are people who died. Those are people who died, died. They were all my friends and they died. Mary took a drive out from a hotel room. Bobby hung himself from a cell in the Tombs. Judy jumped in front of a subway train. Eddie got slit in the jugular vein. And Eddie, I miss you more than all the others. And I salute you, brother. Those are people who died, died. 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 All my friends are waiting to die. Herbie pushed Tony from the boys club roof. Tony thought that his rage was just some goof, but Herbie sure gave Tony some bitchin' proof. And Herbie said, Tony, can you fly? But Tony couldn't fly. Tony died. Those are people who died, 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 died. They're all my friends and they died. Brian got busted on a narco rap. He beat the rap by ratting on some bikers. He said, hey, I know it's dangerous, but it sure beats Rikers. But the next day, he got offed by the very same bikers. Those are people who died, died. 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 All my friends and when they died. Teddy Stiffen Clue, he was 12 years old. Fell from the roof on East 29. Kathy was 11 when she pulled the plug on 26 Reds and a bottle of wine. Bobby got leukemia, 14 years old. Looked like 65 when he died. He was a friend of mine. All the people who died, died. 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 They're all my friends and when they died. Cheeseburger and Georgie let the gimmicks go rotten. They died of hepatitis in Upper Manhattan. Sly in Vietnam took a bullet in the head. Bobby OD'd on Drano on the night that he was wed. They were two more friends of mine. I miss them. They died. Those are people who died, 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 died. All my friends that just died. Mary took a drive out from a hotel room. Bobby hung himself from a cell in the Tombs. Judy jumped in front of the subway train. And Eddie got slit in the jugular vein. Eddie, I miss you more than all the others. This song is for you, my brother. Those are people who died, died. Those are people who died, died. Those are people who died, died.
So you really get sort of a frank, absurd, and sometimes humorous
Yes.
recounting of all these horrible things that he really has seen
Terrible,
with his own
yes.
eyes at a very young age.
Right.
These are true tales of people he saw die in myriad ways.
Yeah, Tony getting thrown off the roof. Tony thought he could fly, but he couldn't fly.
Yeah.
You know, and leukemia and somebody killing themselves when they're 14. And it's you know, but the song has kind of a weird uplifting feel to it, which it's hard to explain. Isn't
I
it?
think some of that may be his getting clean and his I mean, because he came through it. I
right.
mean,
he's not one of the people who
right.
died
Yeah,
yet.
he doesn't get a verse.
Right.
There's not a verse for Jim.
Right. Yeah.
You know, turning tricks to buy smack.
Right.
fell off the roof, landed on his back, whatever, hideous
I know, because
fate could have hit him.
The verses are terrible, and then they get to the kind of the gang vocal. These are the people who died, and it's almost joyous that, I guess the people who are living are still able to sing,
Yeah.
It's an interesting song. It's very catchy. It's not punk really at all. It's
musically it's not punk.
but
It's fast and it's loud and it's insistent.
Mm-hmm.
But it's I think is there sax on it? I mean,
Yeah,
it's a fairly traditional sort of instrumentation,
Right.
and it's not played in a bashing,
Right.
unskilled way.
No, not at all.
You don't get the DIY.
Yeah.
It's
got a little Chuck Berry in it.
Yeah.
It harkens more back to early 70s rock. And
this fits in
Yeah.
more sort of on the arc with maybe the Dolls.
Yeah. It's good though. It's for a song that could be so bleak. It's kind of uplifting in its own way. Go ahead.
There's regret and there's sadness and there's there's an elegy here for each of these people as he remembers them.
Right.
So it's not disrespectful.
Right.
And it's not dismissive.
This was on his first record, as I mentioned, Catholic Boy, which I own and I enjoy, and I can relate to a lot of the themes on it, being a Catholic boy myself. I think he was on Saturday Night Live. I vaguely remember that, and I think this was one of the early Saturday Night Live things, and that really, I was like, oh, who is that?
I think he had merit on his own, but it also, he was in with the right people, the people who were interesting and
championed him,
and championed him.
Yeah.
Warhol.
Lou Reed was a pal, and everybody I think wanted Jim to do well. I think he was a very likable person when you met him. I read a story about Patti Smith saying that one of the first times she met him, he started reciting a long Walt Whitman poem.
Oh, wow.
From memory.
Right.
And was about 3/4 of the way through it, and then he nodded off.
Oh, man.
And she said, well, I had manners, so I waited till he woke up, and then when he woke up, he started right where he left off.
As you do.
Yes, so there you go. Walt would be proud, right?
Yeah, so I think he enamored himself both with his talent and his personality in that group. But he really was a literary hero to a lot of folks, and I think that got him the eye.
Yes.
But I think he lived up to it, right? I mean, he took advantage of having that opportunity.
Yeah. And I don't think music was really his number one thing either. I mean, they made another record called Dry Dreams, which was a very good record. And I think that had that song, It's Too Late on it. It's Too Late to Marry Sharon Tate.
Yeah.
And a couple other really good songs. But I think that's all he produced. He went back to writing, basically, his first love.
This did not seem to be, it almost seemed facile to him.
Yeah,
I mean, this was easy enough for him to do.
Right.
But the way that he pairs words with the music is not like Patti Smith.
Right.
It's not, lyrics are not his thing. And lyrics are not not identical to poetry.
Right.
And
he's not going for that transcendent thing that she was always trying to do with her she was always trying to go to a different place.
Right, but I mean, here the lyrics are doing a job for him, but it seems more workaday.
Yeah, more story, straight storytelling.
But the words themselves are not so united to the music that it's sometimes with really good lyrics you feel like no other word would do.
Right.
Right. That you found le mot juste, you found just the word that can be sung and that sings where it is.
Right.
And you don't get a sense that he is ingrained, his words are ingrained in the music, or that he wants the words to be ingrained in the music.
Right.
Like they can be removed.
Yeah, and you could maybe have a different track behind it.
Right. Right. It's just not the same. So, I mean, you get the sense that it's like, I can do this, but this is not my home, their home.
Right. And that's a good point. I still love this single. It's a great single. The band I'm playing in now, we're discussing whether or not we're going to cover this single. It's not very difficult to play. It's just hard to remember all the words. Jim Carroll was a real interesting fellow. He passed away in 2009, about 10 years ago. He had a heart attack. He did have Hep C. But he did make it through. He got clean. He got married. He was divorced. He got to the other side of all that issue. He lived till he was 60. And he was still writing till the end. Can you hear anybody covering this song?
Yeah, I've got. It's sort of related to my recommendation.
Okay.
So I don't know which one you want. Why don't you do yours and then I'll do my double.
Do my cover?
Yeah, do your cover.
Well, I'm thinking of somebody from up north that kind of has that kind of. It is rock, but it's not really punk, and it's a little velvety, and it's a little this. I was thinking the Strokes. I'd like to hear.
Oh yeah, I think
the
that
Strokes do it. They have that New York thing that they would understand.
Well, I would. My recommendation relates to this seriousness, this having seen some things that, and I was trying to think who's got that brooding sense.
Right.
And I was thinking of Adam Driver.
Yes.
And Adam Driver who gives you the impression that he saw things in the Marines.
Yes. That he could never talk about.
Right. That there's something dark there.
Right, yeah.
And that relates to my recommendation, which is the Coen Brothers movie, I Am Llewyn Davis.
Okay.
And Adam Driver sings in the movie. He plays one of the folk. I can't remember if he's in a folk duo or trio, but he's one of the folksmen. One of the folks that folks it up, and so that's my
that's great
cover that slides into a recommendation. So now you have to have a cover.
Okay.
A recommendation, whichever one you didn't do. You did the cover. You did have to do the recommendation.
I'm going to recommend something from up north again, and of course Jim was famously a basketball player. Basketball's not my thing.
I was going to say you're not going to make a basketball recommendation, are you?
I'm not. I'm going to recommend hockey because that's very big up north, and it's surprisingly big down here. We're in Durham, in the Raleigh-Durham area, and the Hurricanes are quite popular here.
Quite a deal,
yes.
Yeah. Raleigh's Hurricanes.
And do you think that's because there's so many people from up north living
absolutely.
here?
Yeah, absolutely.
It hasn't caught on with the NASCAR set, in other words.
No, it has. It has. But I think that one of the reasons when they moved the Whalers, were looking for a place to move the Whalers, they were looking for an area. The joke is that Cary, which is a bedroom community outside of Raleigh, is the containment area for relocated Yankees.
Right.
And that's essentially where the Hurricanes play.
Okay. And even Greenville, South Carolina, where I live, has a minor league team, the Swamp Rabbits, which is just an epic name for a hockey team, I must say. Hockey is fun to watch. All I'll say about it is just give it a chance. Watch it on TV sometime. They move super fast. They're on skates. They're huge guys. They hit each other, and the skill level is unbelievable about putting that little puck in the net, and how they do it. And the rules aren't really that hard to follow, and it's fun. I'm a big Bruins fan, so that's about the only team left from my living in Massachusetts that I still support is the Bruins, and I love hockey. Check it out.
Well, there you go.
All right, so that was Singles Going Steady 112. The artist, writer, singer, songwriter, Jim Carroll, the Jim Carroll Band, 1979. All the People Who Died, and a wonderful single, and a very interesting story. So that's it. We will talk to you again very soon.
Very soon, y'all. To learn more about the artists and recordings we just talked about, visit our website at zubrecords.com and click on the Singles Going Steady icon.
You'll also find links to the persons, places, and things we recommend, and much more.
You can find episodes of Singles Going Steady on our website or wherever you get your favorite podcasts.
Singles Going Steady is brought to you by the power and majesty of Zub Records.
Zub Records. Smart sounds for sharp people.
I was crying in the middle of the night.